Hello, everybody, and welcome to Desktop Time. Actually, I think, Carrie, if you're still sharing your screen, we're all getting your pixelated screen or your covered screen. I don't know if you...
So I do not see her sharing her screen, Chris.
Okay.
I, I think that's
So we
probably her
have...
webcam.
We'll just go with what we got. So, so I'm in a small box now, which is totally okay. I have no interest in being bigger, so that hopefully you can see us, folks, as we see people are starting to arrive. Thank you very much for joining us for the July desktop time. Obviously, this is a busy time of year for us in the vendor world. We're kind of between conventions, but so excited to be here. So excited to have our very esteemed panel with us. Both MB, who I'll introduce in just a moment, and also Jim and Carrie from Bill and Pay. So I'm looking forward to introducing them and seeing their demo as well. But thank you to all of you for joining us. If you didn't happen to join us last month, go to our website and check it out. It was a lot of fun. We did a live broadcast from Scaling New Heights like we promised. Thank you very much, Matthew Fulton, for being our technology wizard. And also Linda joined us, Artisani, and so we really appreciate them helping us out. That was awesome, and it was a lot of fun, actually. And MB actually joined us last month, too, having heard her big announcement. So anyways, thank you very much for joining us today. As always, Desktop Time is sponsored by this crazy company behind me, QBox, but we don't talk about them, so we don't want to upset people. But if you're looking for a way to continue using QuickBooks Desktop and share it with any number of remote users, definitely check us out at qboxplus.com. We'd love to help you out. A couple of housekeeping things. We were at Scaling New Heights last month, had a lot of fun. Like I said, just meeting those of you that were able to attend. We're just very grateful for our customers, and it's always a lot of fun for us to get out from behind a computer and go out and actually meet people. Later this month, we're going to be at the Latino Tax Fest in Las Vegas. So we're already kind of prepped for that and ready to go and excited about that opportunity. Should be a big crowd of folks if you haven't heard of that event before. We also just signed up and committed to QB Connect, so that's coming up not too distant future. So we're, of course, very excited to be a part of that as well. But again, welcome very much. We know even though it's July, a lot of you are very busy. See, and I always tell the story. I used to think when I first started working with this company that, you know, accountants were only busy during tax season. So you can all collectively laugh at me that I know you guys are busy year-round with deadlines and different requirements for your clients. So we do appreciate your time. I'm going to go ahead and introduce again our esteemed panel to you. And thank you very much again to all of you for joining us today. And for we have MB, first of all, who's going to be our guest host today. MB, you're there already. Hello, MB.
Hello, I'm here.
Hello.
I'm here.
We don't have her on camera. She's had some moving issues, and her video camera wasn't available, I guess. So anyway, so MB is, of course, most of you know as MB Raimondi, CPA, CITP, MS in taxation as an advanced QuickBooks certified pro advisor in both QuickBooks Desktop and QuickBooks Online, as well as being certified in enterprise and point of sale. She's been teaching QuickBooks nationally to both end users and accountants, consultants over 15 years. She's a charter member of the Intuit Trainer Writer Network. The focus of her practice in, what is CT? Oh boy, I usually know this
Well,
stuff.
that's Connecticut, but I have to change
okay.
that because since I sent you that bio, I'm not a Connecticut
You're not
resident
Connecticut,
anymore.
okay. See how that, this is late breaking news here.
Right.
So she's mainly a QuickBooks consulting and training, specialized in strategizing, researching, and installing third-party apps and conversions to QuickBooks from other accounting software. She's part of the QuickBooks Solution Provider Program, getting great deals on Intuit products and services. She was named the top QuickBooks Online Pro Advisor 2015 by Insightful Accountant and has been in the top 100 Pro Advisors for 2014 to 2019. And I added that she was recently announced as the Pro Advisor of the Year for 2019. So again, congratulations.
Thank you.
We also have with us today, we have Carrie, and I'm probably going to butcher your last name. I usually try to ask, but Pastor Smith. She's been with Bill and Pay almost since its beginning, originally as their customer support manager. She's now Director of Sales and Account Management. She probably knows the mechanics of Bill and Pay better than anybody in the company. I like that, Carrie, because I like to say that about myself, but I don't think it's true anymore. So if you have Q-Box questions, I'm just not the guy. I can, anyways, and we have Jim with us also, Jim Van Someren, which again, I hope I didn't brutalize your name. He was one of the founders of Bill and Pay, and since its inception in 2001, as provider of software to the daycare industry, the company has evolved into a premier provider of QuickBooks integrated accounts receivable and payments. Thank you very much to all three of you. And so I'm kind of laughing here as I'm thinking, I'm the only one that's got a live picture here. Allison always does the picture thing, doesn't want to appear. Jim doesn't have his camera, it's not working. Carrie's got something going on with her camera. So I know you're all tired of looking at me, but I'm all you got today, so.
It's okay. You have a really nice smile, Chris.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. So anyway, we're going to start off today with MB. And MB, first of all, I love putting you on the spot. So can you tell us a little bit about it? And you did share last month when we did our live broadcast, but tell us some of the emotions and feelings of being announced as the Pro Advisor of the Year at Scaling New Heights.
Well, just you saying it today made me choke up again. I mean, when somebody makes that announcement, I'm like, oh, it's me. I was shocked. I was humbled. I was honored. You know, I've been in the QuickBooks world forever. So maybe if you hang around long enough, you have a chance of being Pro Advisor of the Year. I'm not sure. But as I looked around the room, there were a lot of people that I have met over the years from all the teaching that I've done for Intuit. So it's very rewarding. And it's funny, and I may have said this last month too, that as they were calling up all the top 10, and we got down to Esther on one side of me and Heather on the other side of me, and then Esther got pulled up for the Trainer of the Year, which is what I really would have thought that maybe I would have gotten. And then Heather got called up, Esther had come back by that point, and she said, "You're it." I'm like, no, and started crying. And she luckily had some Kleenex very handy, so I wasn't completely sobbing when I went up on the stage. But it is, I mean, it's amazing. It's amazing. I was showing my brother, who helped us move the award, whatever you call that big honking thing that I got, and I said, this is the top award that I can get in my profession. I mean, to me, I mean, it's like, that's why it's such an honor.
Yeah, that's awesome. And you already shared that, but I just love hearing most people would say the same thing, that you were of course very deserving of that honor. So I'm just very excited for you. So tell us about, now you just had to move, and so I'm going down a path we didn't talk about, but you moved from Connecticut to where?
To Tennessee.
Tennessee, okay. And so you're going to be setting up your practice, which that's kind of the beauty of the whole online thing. It really doesn't matter anymore where we're actually physically located, right?
Well, that's definitely true. I mean, the two big projects that I'm working on right now, one's in South Carolina and one's on Long Island in New York, and I've never met either of them.
Okay.
And they just got referred to me somewhere along the line, because I don't know that they would have found me on the Find a Pro Advisor site, but I guess my name gets out there enough. And so I don't expect that my practice will change too much. I mean, there were some clients in Connecticut that I actually went to visit them, but most of them I work remotely with, so I don't see it changing a whole lot.
Okay.
Except for I have to find all my technology. I swear I had that webcam, and while we were getting set up, I'm on Amazon getting ready to purchase a webcam, because I've looked at all the places that I think it would be.
Okay. I'm only giggling because I'm wearing this headset that's courtesy of Allison. We realized I have an echo problem here in our conference room a couple of months ago, and so I keep saying every month I'm going to get my own headset, but Allison's very nice and obliging to make sure I have this headset every month. So I can't
actually
say
have
much.
a headset on, a regular headset just like you do, a wired one.
Okay.
But I can hear really well with it.
Okay. So tell me a little bit, I know you were going to talk about technology use in general with your practice. What are some of the apps and things that allow you to work on that remote basis, and what do you see yourself using that you didn't a few years back, that and in the future, what apps do you most commonly use for your practice?
Well, So I will tell you, so just generally, when I'm doing remote meetings, I used Join.me for a long time, but then I started using Zoom. So,
Mhm.
and I'm generally one-on-one on the Zoom meeting, so I can, at this point, use the free Zoom to do things with clients, which is really good. As far as sharing documents with clients, I may use, sometimes it's funny because the few tax returns that I have left, I use ShareFile, but when I'm looking for, I don't know, bank statements or things like that, I end up using Dropbox.
Mhm.
For my desktop clients, I made the decision, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago maybe, that I am not doing any backups or accountant's copies. You know, when I had a full-time tax practice, I was using the accountant's copy for most of my clients that were using QuickBooks that I was doing, you know, their tax returns for. But, you know, it, clients, they're what makes it fun and also what makes it frustrating, right? Because they're very creative in what they do. So I made that strategic decision to say, look, if you want me to work on your file, you need to either be using Qbox, or using a hosted server, or if you're on, like some clients that I work on, I just remote into their server. So their IT people, you know, the bigger clients, their IT people will go ahead and set me up. There's no more trading back and forth. So that's kind of the main things that I use to work with clients.
Okay. Well, I think that, and thank you for mentioning Qbox. I was getting nervous there. You were just coasted and all these things. I know she's going to say Qbox in there somewhere.
And
um,
by the way, audience, I was not paid to bring that in. It's truly
Good.
true.
Ignore the sign behind me.
Right.
But it's interesting. I was actually, this conference that's upcoming, they did a great job of giving us some demographics and just about what people are utilizing now, and I was really surprised that, you know, we still, and another fascinating fact, in talking to a fellow vendor a year or so ago, they actually said that the United States is the furthest behind when it comes to internet-based applications and resources. So there's still a lot of folks that just don't even realize that a lot of the things they think they have to have locally on their system, you know, are available for sharing via the cloud, whether it's full on SaaS like QuickBooks Online or hosted or something like us. I'm always amazed that, you know, I guess I always just assume everybody kind of knows about those options and what's available, but the reality is, unless they're working with a professional like yourself, they maybe aren't aware of those potential options and other resources available to them.
Right. Or they're afraid of it just because they've heard of it and they're, you know, just afraid to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why, I mean, even hosted servers are, you're like, oh, I have to go online and open up this other desktop on there, and then how does that work with my current software that I'm using? I think like one of the beauties of Qbox is, hey, it's just a folder in the My Docs area, and you kind of ignore the part that makes it so powerful, which is the syncing up to the cloud so everybody can access it. I don't know. I mean, and it could be, honestly, it's funny. I think the accountants are the last people to change. Certainly not those that are going to Scaling New Heights or QuickBooks Connect or the
Yeah.
Latino conference. I mean, these, you know, these attendees are forward looking on that, but I've taught at a couple tax shows and teaching QuickBooks. They want QuickBooks Desktop, so it's like what's new in QuickBooks Desktop, and then they are a little bit reluctant on QuickBooks Online. Now that's changing, so I'm talking over like the last 7 years, but that could be another thing that's holding people back, is that their accountants aren't working, they don't like to be working in a SaaS environment, and so their clients aren't doing it either. And I'm kind of not surprised if that the U.S. is a little bit behind. I mean, excuse me, I need to cough. Sorry about that. I've been working on the Pro Advisor certification, which Intuit's trying to make global, and in talking to the other people in the other countries, I mean, just generally, it seems like they are more forward-looking.
Yeah, I don't know why. I guess that always fascinates me. And again, we are right here in the heart of Silicon Valley, so we spend every day thinking about the Facebooks and the Apples and the Amazons and all these different companies and the YouTubes. But I don't know why. I guess that just kind of struck me or surprised me. Which, interestingly enough, our own experience is that we still see the same kind of propensities. It seems like the coasts seem to be more technologically savvy. Different parts of the United States, maybe not so much. Maybe because they don't have good, strong internet available to them either. But for us, we more than anything, we just want people to know there's an option for desktop. We don't ever try to oversell ourselves to anyone or convince them that we're the best way. We just want them to know that we are a way to them. Because at the end of the day, they really should choose the solution that works best for their practice, for their financial professional they're working with, and whatever best matches the needs of their business. I mean, and it may not be us, it may be hosted, it may be SaaS, but because there are so many resources available to people now and options. Interesting, you mentioned Zoom even. I mean, Zoom is a couple of years old or a year and a half old, and the adoption rate is so significant. We use Zoom exclusively now for support. But that's just another example to me of other products that have come up that are very, strong products that are good value that people need to hear more about. So,
Right. I also I'm part of the Woodard Alliance now. It's now called the Woodard Alliance, and we had co-leader for our local Connecticut group, even though I'm in Tennessee, and we had Seth David talk about G Suites. G Suite at one of our last meetings, and I'm like, I need somebody like Seth David to organize me, because in some ways I'm so scattered, and I like using Dropbox, or I might be using Google Docs, or I might be using Box.com or one of those. Or ShareFile. Let's kind of pull it all together. I don't know. The other thing too, Chris, is that my focus of my practice when I'm not doing the stuff for Intuit is project work and moving people into the QuickBooks world. And I totally agree with you, is that it's so important to do a needs assessment and really spend time on what their processes are now, what they like, what they don't like, to figure out the right solution. And even though when I'm out teaching for Intuit, I'm mostly teaching QuickBooks, or am teaching QuickBooks online, when I'm in my actual practice, when I'm working with a client, I am just as apt to put them in desktop as QBO if it's whatever is the right solution.
Right.
And part of that is a lot of the projects that I work on are higher end products, and they need or companies that need the power of enterprise, and at this point are not ready to move to the cloud, or they haven't, or they're not willing to add apps on, so they want to do everything in QuickBooks. So, I mean, desktop is not going to go away in our career's lifetime.
Can we get that in writing from you?
Right. Hey, Brad Smith said that, didn't he?
That's right. We always go, and I say that kind of tongue in cheek. It's interesting. What we've learned over the last 7 years is that there are just different needs all over this country. I mean, some people, they have lousy internet, so they come to us and say, okay, at least we only have to deal with slow internet when we sync, as opposed to having to live on it, for an option that runs in the cloud. So we of course never look a gift horse in the mouth, but we're always fascinated when we find these unique user groups that, for whatever reason, need to stay on desktop or need to be on QuickBooks Online. So like you said, it's all about just matching the needs of the client to what the best fit is for them. So anyway, so any best of luck. So when is your official settle-in date in Tennessee? When are you open for business there, or are you now? Or
well, the first thing I set up was my office, I guess,
okay.
except for my webcam. So yesterday, so we got to Tennessee on 4th of July, and we spent, I was leaving that following Tuesday on a business trip, my last week out teaching. And then we had a wedding in Texas last weekend. So up until I left on Tuesday, it was just unpack, try and get organized. And then I went away for a week. So we got back on Monday. What day is today? Today Tuesday? No, today's Wednesday.
Wednesday. You're just like
This
me.
is the problem. If I don't have my calendar open right in front of me. So so yesterday, it was like in the afternoon where I finally got motivated to come in my office, and I've been in my office all day today. So this will be at least an 8-hour day. I still have another meeting after this one.
Okay, excellent. Well, I haven't moved. That's one thing I haven't done, but kind of in the same boat. Just this time of year, usually I'm a pretty in one place guy, but just a lot of travel with conferences and visiting my adult son and his wife last week in Indiana. So it seems like I'm kind of in the same mode. Is it today is Monday or what day is today? So I'm with you on that one. Anyways, thank you so much again, MB, for joining us today, and I think you're going to plan to stick around. I didn't ask you, but Jim, if you're still there and can hear me, I wanted to turn the floor over to you, and so you can introduce us again to Bill and Pay, and also bring Carrie in when you need to. But at this point, I'll turn the floor over to you, and thank you again for joining us, both Jim and Carrie.
Okay, well, thank you. I just started sharing my screen, so hopefully everybody can see it.
Yes, indeed.
Okay, great. Great. So just wanted to welcome everybody to our demo of Bill and Pay. And before I get started, I'm going to do a quick little overview on PowerPoint and then jump right to a live demo. But before I get started, I wanted to tell a little story about MB and Bill and Pay. So we had just launched our product. I think we got our first real customer in 2010 sometime. And somehow MB found us. It was early 2011. I'm not even sure how you found us, MB, or how
were you at a conference?
We might have went to our first conference that year. That could have been it. And obviously you must have done your needs assessment with your client, because you came to us and said, I have a client, and they were out of the British Virgin, or the USVI, St. Thomas, I believe. Their name was Sapphire Beach Resort. And so I remember working with you. We got that client set up, and I know this was early in your career, but they're still with us today. So here it is, a good 8-9 years later, and they're still one of our first clients, and they're a really good client. They've been running all their AR through us since early 2011. So thank you very much.
Well, you're welcome. Yeah, they were. You know, the funny thing about them was they were the very first big job that I worked on when we moved to Connecticut a lot of years ago, and I was working for a CPA firm. So they were a client of the CPA firm, and the guy who actually started it was quite an entrepreneur, and his son was in charge of the resort, and his son was like my age, so he was like in his early to mid 20s. And so our job was to go in and recreate 3 years worth of records because the tax return hadn't been filed. So I worked on them. I was there every day, kind of like what I'm sure working for one of the big four is like, where you work on the GE audit, you're there the whole time. I was there every day. They brought in lunch for us. It was great. So I became really good friends with them. And then that was for a couple of years, and then I went off on my own. And actually, I think I did a couple of things for them after that. But then they were off my radar until they contacted me, and it wasn't even the original people that contacted me saying, hey, we need the solution. And I love Bill and Pay. I mean, I know you're going to talk about it because you can see the history, and you can choose whatever you want to pay with, and you can do recurring transactions. So, I mean, I think it's a win-win situation to manage receivables.
Yeah, well, they've been a great client, and like I said, they process about 250 transactions a month with us right now, and I don't even think we ever get a support ticket from them anymore. So I guess you got them set up and have a good process in place, because they're a really easy client to work with.
Good.
But I'm just going to do a short PowerPoint here, just give you a little history. My pointer isn't working the way I thought it would. There we go. Little bill and pay history. We actually started back in 2001. We designed and developed software for the in-home daycare business. And this was primarily accounting software that helped manage their daycare, but we also tracked children and food, the food that were being fed to the kids so they could get discounts through the federal food program and things like that. And then in 2006, we added online payments. So it was kind of new then, and we actually added the ability for parents to pay their in-home daycare provider online, and that was all ACH at the time. And then in 2007, we decided to sell that business to our largest competitor, but we kept all the payment technology because we kind of liked the payment side of things. And we started thinking, what should we do next? And we decided in 2008 we were going to start another company and create another software. Originally, we're going to go after another vertical market like the daycare industry, and somewhere along the way, we decided to settle on QuickBooks. I'm not quite sure why, but there are a lot of QuickBooks users out there, and the accounts receivable solution and the payment solution being offered by QuickBooks at the time was not real robust. If I remember right, they didn't have an ACH option. You could only accept payments by credit card, and they didn't have a lot of the options that we think people would want, so we decided to integrate with QuickBooks Desktop. This was long before we could do anything with QBO, and we started that in 2008. We got our first client in 2010, so that's really when we launched the product. So a few years back, 2016, we were acquired by a company called i3 Verticals. They're a payments company based out of Nashville, Tennessee, but they focus on technology that is integrated with payments. So we were a real good fit for them. So today we have three primary solutions. We have what's called our Bill and Pay Easy Invoice. This is totally cloud-based. It's not integrated with any software. You can just create your invoices in the cloud and send them and receive payments. But it's a very robust cloud solution. I don't know if you've ever worked with some of the other ones out there, but we have all the options of our Bill and Pay integrated product, so it's a real robust cloud solution for collecting payments. Then we have Bill and Pay Premium. This is where we're integrated with QuickBooks, so we have our desktop integration, and then we're also integrated with QuickBooks Online. We're a certified app on the QBO store, so you can see us there. And then we also integrate with Xero accounting software. And then we also, finally, we have our Bill and Pay API, and this is for companies that want to integrate with Bill and Pay through our API, but maybe use a different accounting solution. And so we have a number of users that are doing this, and it allows us really to work with any software out there. Some of our key features, obviously, we have the link that you pay in the email. That makes it really easy to make a payment. We also have website links, so you can add us to your website, and we'll create a Pay Now button on your website. We have a really robust auto payment feature, and so you can have your invoices paid automatically on due date or on a certain day of the month. We offer payment plans, subscriptions, recurring payments. In our Easy Invoice product, of course, we have recurring invoices. And then your customers can call you and also make payments over the phone, and you can just accept them right within the Bill and Pay, right from your Bill and Pay homepage. So we also have, we have a couple payment options, obviously credit card and ACH. Our payment portal is all branded as the business. So you pick your colors, you add your logo. We make it look like your business. You can customize a lot of the language in the website portal, the text and things. So we make it look like your business, and then we have all the history there. So you can sync really back to 5 years of history. I think by default we sync 18 months or 2 years, but we sync in all your payment history of the customer, so they can see, not only all their past payments, but also all their past invoices. We have a complete payment reminder and past due series, and this is all customizable, so you control the language in that. Of course, it's 24/7 cloud access, and we have a lot of options in our product. If there's something in our product that you don't see, just ask, because we may have it behind the scenes, but we have things like surcharges, and you can send statements, and you can add attachments, and customers can send notes back to you. So it's a very flexible product. And I think everybody here probably knows the benefits of using a good AR solution. So I'm not going to go over all of these. One thing I do want to mention from the screen is we're a level 1 PCI compliant service provider. And so that means we pretty much take you out of the PCI compliance scope. Obviously, if you're taking credit card payments and you're writing down the telephone numbers, that still leaves you in scope. But as long as you're entering that information into bill and pay, we're taking it, tokenizing it, and making sure you're out of scope as a credit card or as a merchant. And then we also accept we can process level 3 discounts. Now, I'm not sure if people are familiar with this, but level 3 discounts give you significant discounts on your merchant account rates if you're accepting corporate purchasing cards or government cards. And so we can also process those and save some money from the merchant account processing side. Companies that use us are all over the board. I mean, we have attorneys, we have pool care companies, we have lawn care companies, we have property managers, we have a lot of private schools that use us, trash collectors, a lot of computer repair or computer services type companies that use us. So we're all over the board. It's pretty much anybody who would send an invoice out and then collect a payment from that invoice. And finally, if you're just wondering about pricing, we start at $24 a month. That's our easy invoice. It's $29 a month for the QuickBooks integrated version or zero integrated, and then 55 cents a payment transaction, whether that's credit card or ACH. And that includes the cost of ACH. So we make it real easy to get signed up for ACH and start accepting that. So I'm going to jump here and show something now. This is what we call our desktop manager. And because we're talking about desktop today, we do have to have a way to sync with that desktop company file. And so we created what we call the desktop manager. Some of you might remember years ago there was something called the web connector. I think that's what they called it. Is that right, MB? Is that what QuickBooks called it, the web connector?
Yes.
Yeah, I can
and
answer that one too.
Right, they had something before that. They had a sync, another sync, because the web connector is still active.
Oh,
but there was another sync that it had that went away. I can't remember what it was called.
Okay. Well, I was mentioning it because we found that it didn't have a lot of options with it, and it was a little buggy, and so we decided to build our own web connector, and that's what we call the desktop manager. So if you create an account with Bill and Pay as a company and get set up, you're going to have to download this small program and add it to your computer where you run QuickBooks. But this is the desktop manager. It's a very small program. It doesn't. Most of everything that you're going to do is in the cloud on the web. But this does allow a couple of things, like we can sync from here. So there's a sync button. I can log in from here, but you can log in from any web browser. Then there's also some options. So you can do things like set up your syncing with Bill and Pay and QuickBooks. And I have this file. This is a demo file called Home Pro Remodeling. But I have it set up to sync twice a day, just every 12 hours, once in the morning and once at night. But you could set it to sync once every hour if you wanted to, or 4 times a day, or once a day, or whatever your needs are. And then, of course, you can always sync manually, and that's just by pushing on the sync button. And just as an FYI, we always sync payments immediately back into QuickBooks, so your QuickBooks file will always be up to date with any payments. So this is like I said, this is the tool we use. And to demo this, I'm just going to pull up. I'm going to pull up QuickBooks here. And I'm just going to create a couple of invoices real quick. So if you'll bear with me while I create these invoices, this will allow me to show you how it works. So I'm going to set up, create an invoice for Andy Johnson here, one of our test customers. And this is going to be for This is a remodeling company, so this is going to be for some concrete work, and I'm just going to make it, just trying to be quick here for, oops, $590, and I'm going to save and close that, and then I'm going to set up one more here, and it's going to be invoice for Carrie, because she's actually going to show us how the customer portal works and what all that looks like. So I'm going to set up one here for Carrie. For her, I'm going to do some exterior trim and decks. We'll just make this for 460 maybe. That looks good. Yep. And I'll save and close that. So I just created 2 invoices quick in QuickBooks, and QuickBooks is your base for creating your invoices and adding your customers. And if you need an option, we can actually allow you to create invoices in Bill and Pay and your customers in Bill and Pay and add them back to QuickBooks. So we do have an option for that. But generally, you still use QuickBooks to create your invoices and manage your customers. And then I'm going to go here, and I'm just going to run a sync here quick, a manual sync. So I'm back at my desktop manager, pushing the sync button. You can see the progress bar moving here. It's going in. It's checking, getting customers, and getting invoices. Lo and behold, this is an option that doesn't have to be set, but it just brought up these 2 invoices I created, one for $590 for Andy Johnson, and then the one I just created for Carrie for $460. And it's just giving me a heads up, and it's saying, hey, do you want to bring these invoices in, and do you want to send them to the customer? So you don't have to have, this is an option you can turn on and off, but sometimes people just want to be sure that what they're doing and that they want these invoices sent out. So I'm going to go ahead and continue this sync. It's asking me one more time. And so it's taken those invoices now, it's brought them into Bill and Pay, and it's sent those invoices as attachments in an email to those customers. Now I can go ahead and just log in here, and this is what it will look like in my Bill and Pay account. So here's my Home Pro remodeling, and down the left-hand side here I have some options. I have my home button. I can look at payments. I can look at my customers, unpaid invoices, advanced options. But to start, we're just going to jump over here and look at customers. And so here's Andy Johnson, the customer I just sent that invoice to. And if I go here, if I go down to my invoices and payments in the customer record, I can see, oh, here's that invoice number 463 for $590 that I just created. And I can look at that invoice, so I can click on it, and I can see what that invoice looks like. And you'll see that it will render the PDF of the invoice here. And across the top of the screen here, you can see I have a bunch of options. So I have some customer options that help me manage this customers. I can set up payment accounts here. But this is all from the business perspective right now. So I'm going to show you how it works from a business perspective. So say Andy called me and said, hey, I want to pay that invoice that you just sent me. I can click on the Accept Payment Now button. It shows me all the open invoices, but Andy says, I just want to pay that one that you just sent me and take care of that $590. So I can click off the other invoices. I can make a partial payment. There's even an option to add an additional payment. This is an option that can be turned on. So if Andy wanted to pay an extra $100 because he has some work he has coming up that he has to do a down payment on, that's an option. You can add payment notes here. But I'm going to go in and go ahead and just accept a payment from Andy. This is going to be on a credit card. And I can accept a previous account because that's been saved. And here it is. And oh, by the way, we do have convenience fees set up on this customer. And that's getting more and more popular depending upon what state you're in. So you can charge a convenience fee on your credit card. It's an option, so I can turn this off. But in this case, it's 3% that's being added. And I, as the business owner here, could say, nope, I don't want to add that convenience fee. I'm just going to charge them, the base amount on it. And then I would go ahead and so I'll enter here. I can skip the card security code and just process this payment. And it'll take just a just a few seconds for that to process. And then what's going to happen is it will give me an option for a receipt here. So I could print out a receipt if I needed to for that customer and send it to them or email it to them. But otherwise, that payment is gone and it's taken. And so if I go back to the customer record, that was the most basic use of bill and pay, is just accepting a basic payment. But I can also set this customer up on auto pay. So say the customer says, you know, I don't want to pay my invoices all the time. Just set me up on auto pay. Well, I can got some options here. I can have them pay on due date. I can have them pay once a month. If I choose once per month, there's the days of the week. So maybe he's always going to pay on the 2nd. And we're going to have him pay from the credit card that he just used, and I can just save that, and now this customer is on auto pay. And on the 1st of the month, every invoice that is open for him is automatically going to be paid. And there's also a little pop-up because he made that payment was made. We have a little pop-up screen to tell you a payment is made. That can be turned off, but sometimes it's a kind of nice feature so you know when you get paid if you're looking for a payment. So so there's auto pay. Then within here we can also set up payment plans. Those are kind of cool. You can set up a payment plan against any open invoice, and it can be a down payment amount and a schedule of, say, once per month, and it starts on we're going to start it next week, and we're going to pay $30 a month, and it will actually set out the whole schedule for paying off that. And this is great for large invoices, of course, but this will actually set up the schedule, pay that invoice on a schedule as shown, and it will all happen automatically behind the scenes. You don't have to do anything. So those are just a couple of the customer features. I'm going to quickly go down the left-hand side here at some of our other options. Obviously, we can show these are the payments. These are payments made today or received today. These were from yesterday. You can look at your unpaid invoices. We have a variety of reports along with bill and pay that you can use if needed. And we have a lot of advanced options. And so some of our advanced options, everything is set up for you, so you can just start using bill and pay right out of the box. But then these are all ways to make it work maybe a little bit better for you. And so maybe you want to add payment reminders. So you can go in and payment reminders. Here's an example of one. You can actually add some dynamic fields, whatever you want to place in this payment reminder from the drop down over here. You can change all this text. You can decide how many days you want it to go out after the due date, and you can actually preview what that message looks like, and this is what your customers would receive. And you can send up to 3 payment reminders before a payment is due and 5 after a payment is due, so you can actually adjust your text so that your reminders get a little more maybe stern in their nature, that they need to pay their bill. But this really helps businesses, with their collections efforts. And we can attach the invoices again to these so they can always see the invoices. And of course, we always include the Pay Now link. But of course, this is where the biller is managing it. So I'm kind of showing you everything from the biller perspective. And now I'd like to show you what it looks like from the customer perspective. So if you recall, I created an invoice for Carrie, who's with me today, and I sent that invoice to Carrie. And so I'm going to hand the screen over to her. So she's going to pretend like she's the customer, and she's going to show you what it looks like when she got that email and when she logs in and what she sees. And certainly if there's any questions, if you've gotten any that need to be asked or anything, please jump in. I've been talking kind of fast because I know we're quickly running out of time here. Okay, Carrie, I stopped sharing my screen, so I think you can pick it up.
Did you?
I got it.
Jim, just so you know, one question as soon as you said that popped up. Is there a way to import invoice templates?
Okay, so with desktop, it does require a one-time setup of the of the templates in Bill and Pay, and we can almost pretty much match the QuickBooks templates, but it does require a one-time setup. QBO allows us to import the PDFs of the invoice, so there's no issue there. But with desktop, we do have to set up those invoices one time, and we actually have, that's in our advanced options where you set that up.
Okay, excellent. Thank you.
All right, thank you. So everybody should be looking at the billandpay.com website on my screen now. Have we got everyone there?
I'm seeing it on our screens and also Facebook Live, so I think we're good.
Excellent. So I am the customer. I'm playing as the customer, and so I go to my inbox in Gmail, and I see the email that came from Bill and Pay. And I can see I've received a couple of them today, actually. So I'm going to go to the most recent one, which was 8 minutes ago. And I get this email in my Gmail account indicating I have an invoice that is due. Along with that email notification comes my invoice PDF. So that was sent along with the email. And I get a live link right in that email that says, click here to make a payment. Super easy. I click to make a payment, and it brings me to what we call the click pay screen. And the click pay screen just allows the customer to immediately identify how much they want to pay. There is the option to pay an additional amount there if they'd like to. The customer can also add their payment notes and then continue to make a payment. So all of this can be done right at the ClickPay level or the ClickPay screen. But we also have a choice, and we have a choice always to log into the account. If this was a brand new customer that had never created a login, it would invite them to log in to see the benefits of going into an account. But since I have logged into my customer account, I'm just going to click the Login Now button. It's going to ask for my username. Going to ask for my password, and I'm into my customer portal. So once I get into my customer portal, I can still make a payment, which I'm going to do in just a minute, but I have a lot more options that I can look at. I can go and look at all of my invoice and payment history. All right, I can do some viewing and sorting of invoices from within the portal. Of course, I can look only at invoices due. So I have a couple that are open. I have one that's paid in full. So I can select just those that are open if I have a big long list, and then it will bring the list of those invoices up for view in my customer portal. I can go to the Make a Payment screen. So let's take a look at that. Now when Jim made a payment, he made a payment using a credit card. I am going to make a payment. I'm not going to pay that $950 invoice at this time. I'm going to pay the one that Jim just created for $460. I'm going to pay it in the full amount. And I'm not going to put in any payment notes at this time, but I could. And then I'll click Continue to get to the next screen. I'm choosing that I would like to make this payment by checking account. But I have the choice because both have been enabled for this business. Continue. It's going to bring me to the payment screen for check payments. Now we saw that when Jim created a payment for credit card payment, the automated surcharge applied. The same thing would happen for, let me just go back and show that to you. The same thing would happen at the customer side. If I made a payment and I select credit card, right away I am going to get a notification that there is a convenience fee associated with a credit card payment. So that often prompts a customer maybe to make a choice to pay with credit, with a checking or savings account. So I'm going to continue with that payment with my checking account. My previously entered payment information is included and autofilled for me. I'm going to continue. And I get this confirmation screen that allows me to confirm this is what I'm paying. and I make my payment. I get a live link back to the printable receipt for that payment. So if the customer wants to save it or print it, they can. And it's also telling me that a payment confirmation email should be arriving in my inbox within the next few minutes. All right? Now, if I decide that I'd rather not go in each month or each time I receive an invoice and make a payment manually, I could set up auto pay from the customer side. So the customer can click to auto pay. They can choose what type of auto pay they want. Now, this is based again on the settings that the business set up on their side. The business in this case is allowing both once per month type of auto pay and on due date auto pay. So if I selected once per month and selected continue, I could set up auto pay on any of the days that the business was allowing me to. I'm going to set up my auto pay to happen on the 10th of the month and click continue. And then again, I can choose to pay auto pay by credit card or savings. My previously entered payment account information is saved, so I can use that for auto pay. And now I am authorizing the business to withdraw funds from the account that I've set up. And that is confirmed. Okay, so now auto pay is set up on, from the customer side, waiting for an invoice. Anytime an invoice appears in the customer account, it will auto pay according to the settings. Okay. Some other options in the customer portal when they log in are the ability to go in and change the account password, and the ability to change or add email addresses to the account. So this changes the email that the customer wants invoice notifications to be sent to. So you can change the addresses or add new ones here. There's also basic contact information to reach back to Home Pro, so that's nice. And a help screen, and of course a logout screen. But what I want to do is I want to go back and see if my payment confirmation email arrives, and there it is. So it's back in my inbox. There is my payment confirmation email. Every email that goes out to a customer, whether it's a payment confirmation email, an invoice notification email, one of those automated reminders that Jim showed us, it always includes a live link back to the customer account, so the customer can log into their portal and see all of those features that we looked at. Okay. Now I just want to jump from here back to billandpay.com, and then we'll open up for some questions. So at
Carrie, can I jump in too? I should mention here, I forgot I was going to show this, but as soon as that payment is made, then it's synced back into QuickBooks, of course. Marks the invoice as paid, and the funds go into undeposited funds. So I could show you that, but because of the time constraints, I just wanted to make sure everybody was aware of that. But go ahead, Carrie.
All right, thanks. So yes, that all happens automatically. So that's really nice because customers can process payments out to their bank, and the business can offer credit card payments, and then all payments that are processed through Bill and Pay will automatically close the invoice back in on the QuickBooks side. Now, as you're working with clients and they're interested in Bill and Pay, everything that you need is out at billandpay.com. You'll find information, overview, and flyer about the Bill and Pay product at billandpay.com. You'll find the different products identified with their pricing. And we've got some great recorded demos out at billandpay.com. So depending on what kind of product type they're looking at, for instance, if they're a QuickBooks Online user, you're going to want to show them the 8-minute webinar video, which is a complete demonstration using QuickBooks Online and Bill and Pay. And then we also have a complete demo for our Easy Invoice product, which is our standalone accounts receivable product. Also available from our website is the link to, the various payment gateways that we are integrated with. So those will be listed out at billandpay.com, as is our blog site. Jim talked about the fact that we could offer various features or customizations that might not be immediately available in bill and pay accounts. And this blog site really goes into great detail about what some of those features are. Some of these are our most used features and just provide a very in-depth view of how they work. All right. I think we'll open it up to questions now. One more thing, as businesses do get started using bill and pay, I work with all of the new merchants that are coming on board with bill and pay and offer implementation calls. So as they set up their free trial of bill and pay, then I reach out to them. And if you know anybody who has created a free trial of bill and pay and is interested in an implementation call to set up the best practices and most used features, then please reach out to us. But this is how it all starts right here by creating that 30-day free trial account.
Okay, excellent. Thank you, Carrie. And there actually were a couple of questions that popped up. Actually, he was taking back one, but initially he asked if this is for AR invoicing or AP bill payments too, and then he said, never mind, I see it's only for AR to receive payments.
That's correct.
Okay, so it's just for accounts receivable?
Yes, bill and pay is an accounts receivable product only, correct.
Okay, excellent. Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that at the end because my gosh, your white labeling is incredible. And so, you know, in my mind, I immediately jumped to, oh gosh, there's got to be a lot of implementation and setup. But that's something you're describing that you help a new client with implementation and how to set up things so they can receive payments and.
Right.
Okay. So how does that, I mean, Carrie, just as a general, I know this is kind of an ambiguous statement, but when you go through that process with a company, let's say it's a company that bills 30 clients a month, how long does that process usually take? How much do they need to plan for?
You know, bill and pay is quite turnkey, so we definitely have a lot of merchants who come on board and just follow through the wizard, connect their merchant account, sync to QuickBooks, and start running payments with no help at all. Others have a lot of questions, so sometimes it depends on how much staff they have and how many different people are going to be having their hands in the accounts receivable process. But if I schedule an implementation call to go through that review, it's usually 30 minutes, sometimes an hour if it's a larger merchant.
Okay. Well, that makes sense. I mean, we deal with some of the same things. Most of our users purchase our product on the website, but we always tell people we're happy to help you if you like assistance. So, and in some cases, when they have more of an intricate setup, we kind of prefer that because we want to make sure they have a positive experience. So I imagine that would be very much the same for your business model.
Yeah. Absolutely. And we also have a great support system built into the bill and pay product. So within a bill and pay business account, there is a support button along the left menu that you may have noticed. I can't remember if Jim called out to that, but in the support menu is the ability to look up our frequently asked questions, see some videos, but it's also how you start a ticket to our help desk. And so as merchants are in their account and they have questions or concerns, they can submit a ticket immediately to our help desk. It's connected to their account. It's auto-filled with their own login or their own user profile contact information so that we can respond very quickly with an answer.
Okay, excellent. That's always a huge one I know for our clients is, are you going to be there when they need help too? So because inevitably they'll have questions or something that happens. So. That's good to know.
Exactly.
So it looks like we haven't received any other additional questions, but I am going to, as I mentioned at the outset, I'll be sending to everyone that both joined us today and the larger group that wasn't able to make it, I'll be sending them information about your company and how to get in touch with you should they have any additional questions. Actually, we just had another question from the same individual. How long does it take for the money to get into the company's bank account? So I'm assuming post receiving a payment either by check or credit card.
Yeah, I can answer that real quick. So we work with any merchant account, so you can add if you already have a merchant account. A lot of our customers do use Intuit, but you can use virtually any merchant account, or we can help you get one if you need one. but that's going to be dependent upon, their terms, whatever you set up with them. But typically it's next day. Now our ACH provider, it's a 4-day settlement. So transactions made before 7 p.m. Central Time on a Monday would be in your bank account on Friday morning. So the ACH, of course, is a little bit longer, but we do have some faster settlement options for clients, but they do cost a little bit more money too.
Okay. I think that's kind of a, thank you for that answer, Jim. That's like you said, it's really predicated on who they're using for their payment processing. We've experienced that too. ACH, just like you said, we don't have a huge amount of ACH clients, but it is a slower process. So thank
slower
you for sharing
but
that.
much less costly too, because like I said, ACH is included in that 55 cents per transaction. So
okay.
You can move up to $5,000 for 55 cents.
Okay. Okay. Well, thank you very much again for the excellent demo. I actually learned a lot myself, so I know our audience probably very much appreciated the information. We are recording it. It will be made available on our website as well within the next couple of days. And again, we will send out an email tomorrow just reminding everyone how they can get in touch with you should they have further questions. But thank you very much. Thank you, MB. I know you're still there. Even though you're muted. Thank you for joining us today, MB, for your time. And congratulations again on the Pro Advisor Award, and for your, I guess, congratulations for your move too. I won't ask if Tennessee was a better choice than Connecticut. I don't know. But
we hope so.
Thank you so much for joining us, Jim and Carrie. We really appreciate your time today. Just as a quick reminder, again, we will be back next month. Next month, we're going to have, in fact, MB mentioned him earlier, we're going to have Seth David joining us. So he's going to be our guest host next month. And then also we're going to have Corrigo back with us. They've been with us before. They provide the Intuit Field Service product, and Cheryl's going to be demonstrating that for us next month as well. So we hope you can make it back to join us. For those of you, actually I see a couple more questions just came in. One asks, is your product available in Canada, Jim or Carrie?
We do have Canadian users, but everything is U.S. dollars if you're using the product. So we do have a number of Canadian users that, I don't know if, Carrie, do you know, are they just invoicing clients in the U.S. or are they actually invoicing both Canadian and U.S. customers?
Oh, they're fully Canadian, yeah, and they're using QuickBooks for Canada and like an authorized.net account that allows for international payments. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
No ACH though. We don't do ACH in Canada.
Okay.
It has to be everything has to be a U.S. bank.
Okay, excellent. So thank you again. I apologize. I want to make sure we got that question in. Thank you very much again for joining us. Look forward to seeing you back next month in the month of August. And if you happen to be in Las Vegas later this month for the Latino Tax Fest, we'd love for you to stop by and say hello and pick up some Q-Box stuff, which we'll have there. We have a few new items, but some of the same things you saw at Scaling if you happen to be there. But thank you very much again to MB, to Jim, and to Carrie for joining us today. We really appreciate your time. And thank you to all of you for taking time out of your schedule to join us today. We look forward to seeing you back next month, and if not sooner. So thank you very much again. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and take care. Bye-bye.